Hello and welcome to the Road to Autonomy. The Road to Autonomy is brought to you in part by Stantec Generation AV. Stantec Generation AV combines some of the most experienced AV experts in the industry with the resources of a global engineering firm. Stantec Generation AV provides education, consulting, assessment, and guidance to any industry interested in autonomous vehicles. Learn more at stantec.com. Hello and welcome to the Road to Autonomy. I'm your host, Grayson Brulte. On today's episode, we're absolutely honored to have Ted Tewksbury, Chief Executive Officer, Velodyne Lidar. Welcome to the podcast, Ted.
Thanks, Grayson. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here. The individuals that have the honor of working at Velodyne speak the world of you. From what I can see in the public reports, you're doing one heck of a job turning the company around. So thank you for taking the time today. And to kick things off, the million-dollar question, why Velodyne? Why now?
Well, that's a great question, Grayson. And I don't need to tell you that we are living through a revolution in autonomous mobility right now. Autonomous vehicles, advanced driver assistance systems, robots, drones, and also intelligent infrastructure, things like smart cities and intelligent traffic systems. All of these systems need to be able to see the world around them and interpret the world and understand it in order to be able to make autonomous decisions that keep people safe. And LiDAR has become the technology of choice to do that. Velodyne invented LiDAR as we know it today, 15 years ago. And our mission is to provide intelligent vision solutions that improve the safety, sustainability, and efficiency of the world around us. And so I joined the company for three very simple reasons. First of all, I believe passionately that LiDAR is going to be an enormous market, and it's going to transform virtually every industry as we know it. Second, I believe that Velodyne has the right technologies at the right time to really capitalize on that opportunity. And thirdly, I knew that I had the right set of skills and expertise and gray hair to really help parlay the company's technology strengths into revenue growth, profitability, and shareholder value. So that's why I'm right here, right now.
Your track record speaks for itself. You've had multiple successful turnarounds of companies in and around technology. Putting that experience underneath your hat, how are you approaching your tenure as CEO of Velodyne?
Well, in 2021, the company really put in place a strong foundation for growth. They went out and hired a number of very talented executives, upgraded the board of directors, and put in place disciplined processes, methodologies, and infrastructure to sustain growth. In 2022, our top priority is really to accelerate the path to profitability. And we're doing that by rationalizing our cost structure while at the same time driving deployments of LiDAR at scale into a wide range of industries, everything from industrial and robotics to intelligent infrastructure and automotive. The strategy that we've implemented in order to do that consists of four pillars. So the first pillar is to drive LiDAR volume at scale in what we call the early autonomous markets. And this is primarily industrial, robotics, and intelligent infrastructure. Now, make no mistake, we are as bullish as everybody else in the industry on automotive. But when I look out the window, I don't see many self-driving cars on the road today. So we think that market is still a ways off. And being impatient and wanting to generate profitability in the short term, we're focused on selling our existing products into existing markets that are here right now today, where we have an excellent product market fit. And so that's the industrial robotics and intelligent infrastructure markets. Moreover, by driving volumes in these early markets, we're really setting ourselves up really well in terms of being able to ship at scale at high qualities to be ready when those later automotive markets start to ramp. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is to develop and invest in high performance sensors at a price point to accelerate mass adoption in price-sensitive markets like automotive. This is really important. When we talk to automotive customers, OEMs and Tier 1s, the theme is very consistent that they need LiDAR prices to come down well under $500, typically to the $300 or $400 range, before they will deploy LiDAR at scale in mainstream passenger vehicles, which is where the bulk of the volume is. So we look at the industry today, we don't see any of our competitors that have LiDAR in that kind of affordable price range. And so that's one of our top priorities, is to invest in those next generation technologies. The third pillar is to expand our software in order to deliver full stack autonomous vision solutions. Our goal is to make LiDAR ubiquitous, and the way we're doing that is to make it easy to use for anybody in any application. And that's all about delivering a turnkey full stack solution. And then finally, our fourth pillar is to continue to lead the industry in operational and manufacturing excellence. We all know that technology is important, but you can't build an industry on technology alone. You've got to be able to ship in volume. If the last couple of years have taught us anything, it's the importance of a robust and reliable supply chain. And Velodyne has shipped over 69,000 sensors to date. And so we're continuing to improve our ability to ship into a market that we think is poised for massive growth. So this strategy will enable us to be the leader in smart vision solutions for autonomous systems, while also accelerating our path to profitability.
I'll give you there's a lot to unpack there. I want to start by giving you a lot of credit around warehouse and industrial. During the depths of the pandemic, we saw several on-road autonomous vehicle companies, who I believe those companies are your customers, continue to be your customers, pivoted into the warehouse. And we're seeing the expansion of Amazon warehouses, Blackstone buying warehouses for e-commerce. With all of the dollars pouring into e-commerce and warehouses and smart warehouses, and robotics going in there to move, say, a book or a soap from shelf to shelf. Do you see that as Velodyne saying, okay, we understand the warehouse market, this becomes a big growth market for us as the investor dollars continue to pour into that market?
We see that as an enormous growth market, but the key to success in any of our segments is to develop a deep understanding of the customer's problems, the customer's pain points, and what it is they're actually trying to solve in order to build a business. And we've one of the things we accomplished since I've been here is to put in place a product management group that's responsible for product definition and developing the expertise in those vertical markets to really understand in depth the problems that the customers are struggling with. And that's really the essence of our system solutions strategy. It's not just about sensors. At the end of the day, our customers are solving a business level problem. And so we offer the full stack solution, software plus sensors in order to do that. But the supply chain opportunity is immense. We see customers across the board looking to automate their supply chains all the way from the port to the consumer's front door. And they're doing this to reduce cost, to increase efficiencies, and also to mitigate themselves against supply chain disruptions, as we've seen over the past several years as a result of the pandemic, component shortages, and so forth. So our products are being used on ships in order to guide cranes that are moving goods around the ships. They're being used, LiDAR is being used to guide ships into the port. And then once in the warehouse, LiDAR is guiding warehouse robots as well as forklifts in moving pallets around safely and working side by side with human beings. We also have our LiDAR in middle mile delivery robots, companies like Gatik, who transport from those warehouses to local retail outlets. And then we also work with customers that are developing last mile sidewalk delivery that take goods from the fulfillment center or the retail outlet directly to the consumer's front door and provide touchless delivery. You're probably aware of the fact that we signed a warrant agreement with Amazon, and Amazon is very interested in using LiDAR in a number of applications, including those sidewalk delivery robots, warehouse robots, retail, data centers, fulfillment centers. As you know, they acquired Zoox, so that they're also interested in AVs, and we're working very closely with them to develop products that are specifically tailored for Amazon's requirements in order to enhance their customer experience.
Is it a fair statement to say that Velodyne, throughout the life cycle of a supply chain, there's a role for Velodyne and Velodyne is there?
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. And it really is from the port all the way to the consumer's front door. We're providing vision for autonomous services all the way through that chain. And then in addition, our products are being used in autonomous mobile robots at airports, for example, to transport cargo from planes to terminals and warehouses and so forth, and in a number of other applications in industrial mining. We provide sight for drones that go into mines and other hazardous situations where human beings can't safely go. So it's all about safety at the end of the day. In a world where you have autonomous robots and systems working side by side with human beings, it's all about protecting safety. And beyond autonomous mobile robots, in infrastructure, you have LiDAR that's being used to also safeguard the safety of conventional vehicles, pedestrians, bicycles, and so forth. So, for example, our intelligent infrastructure solution is a full stack solution. A great example, best example we have of a full stack solution where we offer the complete solution, including the sensors, the software, the AI algorithms, dashboards, cloud services. And we can give this to a municipality who can mount a sensor, one of our rotational sensors, on a traffic light or a telephone pole, and be able to view 360 degrees, 365 days a year, any weather, any lighting condition, night and day, 24/7. We collect and analyze data on the movement of pedestrians, cars, bicyclists, and other vulnerable road users. And municipalities are using that information to improve the safety of intersections, to analyze near misses, to improve the flow of traffic, the efficiency of the traffic, which in turn reduces greenhouse emissions and improves the sustainability of the planet. So it's all about delivering intelligent vision solutions that improve the safety of the public, as well as the sustainability of the planet and the efficiency of the movement of goods and services through the world.
There's an old saying at local elections, the two things that get you elected are traffic and parking. If you're a politician and you're running for office, traffic and parking. Over the weekend, I was reading an interview with Prince Albert II of Monaco. And the complaints to the Monegasque are complaining about traffic and how congested it is to move around Monaco. So you're offering a solution for traffic. Very good there. On the backside of that, you see this global backlash around cameras everywhere. I don't want to be profiled. This camera has issues. Is that one of the key advantages to putting LiDAR on the infrastructure, where it can tell it's a body mass, it can tell it's a vehicle, but yet it can't identify male, female, etc., where you're keeping the privacy intact but enhancing safety?
You just hit on one of the most important value propositions of LiDAR, Grayson. Privacy, public trust, data protection, anonymity, all of these things are ever-growing public concerns. And the beauty of LiDAR is that it perceives people and objects with precision without collecting any biometric data, such as skin tone, facial features, or an individual's gait. In fact, we can't use LiDAR to detect license plates either. So it's anonymous and really ideally balances safety and privacy by sensing the world around it without intrusively collecting sensitive data. And in fact, we just won a major design win for our IIS in Germany, a city called Rüsselsheim am Main, that wanted to use LiDAR to keep heavy trucks from using the city as a hub to just drive in and out of. And they wanted to reduce noise pollution, greenhouse emissions, and so forth. And one of the main criteria that they had for that win was GDPR, the General Data Protection, to preserve privacy. And that was one of the main reasons that we won with LiDAR.
I could get to the point in the future, fast forwarding, we see a local city council will write it into an ordinance. If you're a vendor and you're going to come take city dollars, where you have to use LiDAR or similar technology that's anonymous, because the voters are going to demand it. So you're in the leadership on that front of that. Let's call it the anonymous campaign. Then you're in mines, you're in maritime, you're in automotive, you're in infrastructure. Is this where your product management group comes in that you implemented, where you have an individual that's an expert in mines? Oh, this is a copper mine. The dangers in the copper mine are this, or an individual that understands all the intelligence infrastructure, the way cities work. Is that where the product management group comes in to help you accelerate that growth as you go on the road to a profitability?
That's exactly correct. Like many Silicon Valley technology companies, we started off really being just purely technology driven. And that's fine. That was the genesis of the first LiDAR, which wound up making this company very successful and building an industry. But as you start to mature and you need to scale the company and grow into a profitable business, it really becomes essential to understand the end markets, the pain points, and have an in-depth understanding of the systems that customers are trying to build. And so we put together this product management team. And exactly to your point, we have experts in each one of our target vertical markets. And we've managed to staff that up very successfully over the past several months. So we have an expert in industrial and robotics applications for the supply chain and warehouses. We have another expert in automotive, both ADAS and AVs. We have an expert in intelligent infrastructure solutions for smart cities and traffic management and control. And then finally, we also have a new expert in military. We see a lot of applications for LiDAR in military types of applications. So for now, it's those four. One of my mantras is focus. Every new company I've joined as CEO has always been trying to do too many things relative to their available resources. Like any good company, we have more opportunities than we can possibly address. But it's really essential to focus to make sure that we're not diluting our resources or overspending. I'd rather do fewer things and do them successfully than try to do too many. So right now it's those four. But as we go, we may have an expert in mining, or we may have an expert in some other vertical market.
I want to stay on the Wall Street theme here. I was reading Ron Barron from the famed fund manager, and he was talking about in his latest quarterly letter about going and visiting. He calls it, I love the line, he goes, kicking the tires. Before we make an investment in a company, we go and kick the tires. And he told the story about Dick's Sporting Goods back when they were two stores. Now they kicked the tires and believed in the management team, and was telling a story about the early days of Tesla and going and kicking the tires because they believed in Elon. That's what you're doing with that product management team. Essentially, you're hiring the expert to kick the tires that is going to allow you to accelerate that expansion into those markets. And that's, in my opinion, that's something more CEOs should encourage their staffs to become those experts, because that's how you're going to build the trust in the markets that's going to allow you to drive the sales and the revenue. And when I think of Velodyne, I'm going the way back machine here to DARPA. It's the eyes of self-driving cars. If it wasn't for the LiDAR technology that was developed for DARPA, we wouldn't be where we are in self-driving cars today. And I believe that LiDAR is one of the key ingredients to achieving full autonomy. In order to achieve that, you alluded to this earlier, that we have to go to sub $500 for the LiDAR. You're not the only one. There was a March 1st, 2022 analyst report from Needham & Company where an analyst did the following about Velodyne. The biggest challenge in our view is lowering the cost of the LiDAR sensors to sub $500 in order to support broader adoption, primarily in the passenger automotive markets. We believe the company is actively taking steps to reduce the costs through offshoring to Thailand, developing new sensor architectures, and miniaturization, modularization of the technology. How are you approaching the cost from a manufacturing perspective?
I couldn't agree with that statement more. The biggest single challenge that faces not only Velodyne, but the entire LiDAR industry is cost, because the competition is very inexpensive, right? The competition is radar and camera. And while there are many things like seeing in the dark and seeing under a variety of weather conditions that LiDAR does much better than camera and radar, nevertheless, the costs are going to have to come down by an order of magnitude to drive mass adoption in mainstream price-sensitive markets. So we're doing three things to reduce the costs. And you already alluded to one of them. Manufacturing scale and efficiencies is very important. Obviously, greater volume spreads fixed costs over a greater number of units, and that helps. That's one of the reasons that we're focused initially on driving volumes in those early autonomous markets so that we can get the benefit of greater volumes. And then we're also outsourcing to low-cost areas. We now have about 80% of our production of sensors taking place in Thailand with our contract manufacturer, and that will be 100% by the end of the year. In addition to manufacturing efficiencies, we've also put in place very powerful initiatives for design for manufacturing. In other words, we're designing quality and high yields into these devices right from the get-go. One way to do that is with platform-based design. So we have common building blocks. We have a core piece of DNA that we call the MLA, the micro lidar array, which integrates anywhere from 4 to 8 transmit receive optical assemblies on one substrate. Why do we do that? Well, that first of all, it reduces cost. But secondly, it greatly facilitates the assembly process and makes it very easy for a technician or an assembly line worker in Thailand to assemble these devices and do it repeatedly across our entire product line. That same piece of DNA, that same building block is used in all our sensors. So they learn how to do it once, they learn how to do the calibration once, and they can do it repeatedly and at low cost across the entire product line. Other things we're doing to reduce cost include software configurable hardware. So again, using a common piece of hardware that can be very rapidly configured before you ship it to the customer, or even in the field, can be reconfigured with over-the-air updates for new applications. All of these things enable you to reuse common building blocks, which reduces cost. But the major way that we're reducing cost and the major means by which we're going to reduce the ASPs by an order of magnitude is through architectural innovation. So we're developing radically new architectures that use fewer components and will greatly reduce the bill of materials. And all of that is our secret sauce. We can't talk much about it, but these new architectures are in development and should be introduced in the next couple of years.
The bottom line is you're preparing the business for fast growth that's scalable and profitable. The MLA, was that a new invention that was done? Was you came in as CEO when you were coming through the business's supply chain and said, aha, I have a small child, so I'm going to use the Lego analogy. Is that you can get the green piece of the Lego and build on top of that?
I wish I could take credit for that, Grayson, but that was an innovation that was the result of our chief technology officer and the very gifted team of engineers working here at Velodyne. So all I'm doing is latching onto that basic philosophy and saying, hey, let's do more of that. Let's pursue more platform-based, Lego type building block design, because that's really good stuff.
It's really good stuff. It's the future where manufacturing's going, and you being a publicly traded company, it's something that Wall Street likes because you can scale it and you can make it profitable. So with 80% of production being done in Thailand, we're still taking 111 days for goods to reach a warehouse in the United States from the minute they leave a nation factory. Raises the question, how are you managing the business for those delays? Are you pre-booking stuff, or how are you preparing for those delays?
Yeah, so the good news is that we're experiencing extremely strong demand for our sensors. The bad news, as you alluded to, is that our ability to meet this demand is limited by component shortages, expanded lead times, and cost increases. And we're taking very proactive steps to alleviate those bottlenecks. We're not just sitting idly by and waiting for the macro crisis to subside. So first of all, we've lined up multiple sources for critical components, which gives us more flexibility. Second, we've redesigned some of our sensors to use more readily available components. And then third, we're judiciously building inventory on long lead time components. And of course, under those circumstances, that's risky. And so we're requiring non-cancelable, non-returnable purchase orders from our customers. That's how we're handling the supply chain issues. And I'm confident that by doing some of those redesigns and making ourselves less susceptible to those component shortages, that we'll be hopefully out of the woods by the end of this calendar year. Now, I should also flip it around by saying that while we are experiencing these supply chain disruptions ourselves, we're also helping our customers to overcome some of their supply chain issues through the industrial automation offerings that we just talked about earlier. So customers worldwide are automating their supply chains to improve efficiencies and reduce costs and try to protect themselves against some of these bottlenecks. And our LiDAR solutions are helping them with that supply chain automation, as we talked about earlier. So there's actually a silver lining in our business model.
There's more than a silver lining in your business model. And I'm going to say something I'm going to get a lot of grief for from a lot of people. You're clearly not a startup CEO that's out there for marketing big buzz, because you said non-canceled, non-returnable POs. I want to repeat, non-canceled, non-returnable POs. Give you a lot of credit there, because a lot of your competitors and companies that work in and around autonomy, they take fully refundable deposits, or they get an email saying, I will purchase X amount of your product. There's nothing on the balance sheet. There's nothing contractually obligated to do that. Well done, Ted. Thanks for being a seasoned CEO, sir, and not a CEO focused on marketing.
As I said, I didn't get these gray hairs for nothing. We're trying to build LiDAR into a profitable business. One of my goals, in addition to being the leader in intelligent vision solutions for autonomous systems and helping my customers to accelerate their system developments, I want Velodyne to be the first profitable LiDAR company. I want us to be the fastest growing, most profitable, and most valuable LiDAR company, which means we have to practice good business practices, best practices, and make sure that we're not doing things that are wasteful of the company's resources, and we're not taking unmitigated risks.
Well said. When you take your MLA technology, can that go across, as we mentioned earlier, can that go into mining? Can that go into maritime and automotive? Can that technology platform go across the variety of your use cases?
So the MLA technology was developed primarily for our solid state sensors, but it can also be used, retrofit into our rotational sensors, something that we call hybrid surround view, hybrid solid state surround view sensors. So we can replace the discrete TROSA, transmit received optical assemblies in our rotationals with the MLA technology. So it's a very flexible and versatile technology.
Do you take the technology that's versatile? Well, let's look at the LiDAR market as a whole here, for example. As you're focused on becoming the first profitable LiDAR business and the most profitable LiDAR business, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for LiDAR applications to grow your business?
I view it in three waves. As I mentioned earlier, we're really targeted on three markets. So there's industrial and robotics, there's intelligent infrastructure, which includes smart cities, and then there's automotive, which encompasses both autonomous vehicles like robo-taxis and robo-shuttles, as well as ADAS. Interestingly, most of our competitors are focused on ADAS, which is a market that really, in my opinion, and in the opinion of most of the automotive customers, is not going to ramp in volume until ASPs get below $500. And as we look across the landscape, we don't see any competitors today that have technologies that can get there in the short term. So those are the three waves of growth. But in terms of their time to volume, we see the first commercialization of LiDAR happening in industrial and robotics, which is why near term we're focused on selling our existing products into that segment. And then we're also getting a lot of traction in the intelligent infrastructure segment with our IIS solution, our intelligent infrastructure solution, which I mentioned earlier. That's a full stack solution, which as of now is deployed across 3 continents, as well as in 7 cities in the U.S., including here in San Jose, Austin, Texas, and a number of other states. And that, as I mentioned earlier, is used to monitor and analyze traffic in order to reduce pedestrian fatalities and other types of accidents. The third wave, again, we are as bullish on automotive as everybody else. We just think that the key catalyst there, for at least for ADAS, will be to hit that $300 to $400 price point. And that's why we have a product in development in order to do just that. The other subsegment of automotive is AVs, and that is primarily robo-taxis and autonomous shuttles. And there, we already have products that are an outstanding fit for that market. These shuttles, as they're driving through cities or suburbs, need to be able to see 360 degrees at very high resolutions and need to be able to see at ranges of 300 meters. So our Alpha Prime sensor is an outstanding solution to that problem. And we already are getting really good traction with some of the leading robotaxi and autonomous shuttle customers, such as Motional and May Mobility. So they're already rolling out now. Now, the question is, how long will it take for those to reach volumes? And again, I would surmise that that's probably going to be several years out. So again, I stick by my original statement that in terms of the time to volumes, it's going to start with industrial, followed by intelligent infrastructure, followed by automotive.
I agree with your rollout. I want to say something. You talked about the ADAS in the vehicles. Consumers are getting pinched. You're at 8.3% inflation. We have $5 gas. I saw in some parts of Northern California, you have $9 of gas. Asking a consumer for a $1,000 upgrade when they buy a vehicle, they can't afford right now. And we're seeing it in the used car prices. You're right. It's going to have to come down where the OEM could build in the LiDAR to the cost of the vehicle without passing it on to the consumer. I think you're right. At the end of the day, it's all going to come down to economics. And everything on Wall Street, as you as a CEO of a publicly traded company, comes down to economics, comes down to performance of your company. When you meet with investors, how do you describe the Velodyne business?
I describe it much the same way that I described it to you, which is that autonomous mobility is an incredibly important and growing trend. And LiDAR is the key enabling technology that enables these autonomous devices to see the world around them, interpret the world, and make decisions. Velodyne is the inventor of LiDAR, and we are the leader in shipping LiDAR at scale into a variety of markets, including industrial and robotics, intelligent infrastructure, and automotive. And our mission is to be the leader in intelligent vision solutions in order to improve the safety, sustainability, efficiency, and equity of the world around us.
Well, there's no doubt Velodyne has the building blocks to get there. With you at the helm, Velodyne is well on its way. As the CEO of a publicly traded company, you get access to a lot of things. You get my favorite thing in the world, data. You get to read probably amazing reports. From your perspective of where you're sitting, what is your outlook on the economy?
I would say there's two sides to that coin, Grayson. First of all, it is hard right now as we look at the economy. Inflation, nobody knows what's going to happen with interest rates. You've got global unrest all over the world. A lot of people see a looming recession up ahead. It's easy to get discouraged about the economy. I'm a glass full kind of guy. And the way I look at it is that some of the best turnarounds and transformations have happened in a recession. One of them was the one that I drove at Integrated Device Technology, where I joined the company in 2008. The company had new products. It had declining revenue. It had low gross margins. I hunkered down and started to turn the company around. 5 months after I joined the company, Lehman Brothers went belly up, and we went into the Great Recession. And in many ways, it was the best thing that could have happened, because a recession is kind of like hitting the reset button on the entire economy. It levels the playing field. It's like the great equalizer. And so it's a really good time to just kind of hunker down, work on new product developments. And in the case of IDT, a couple of years after the recession ended, we came powering out with massive revenue growth driven by new products for new applications. And I'm hoping if in the event we go into a recession, we can do the same thing here at Velodyne.
If we do go into recession, based on all the public filings I've read, the analyst reports I've read on Velodyne, you're positioning Velodyne for, let's call it a roller coaster, or we can use the Jamie Dimon term that's getting thrown around a lot now, a hurricane. You said that a lot of great things have happened in history around downturns. You're right. They're one of those near and dear to everybody's hearts. Firestone tires after the Great Depression in 1921, when Henry Ford called up Harvey Firestone, said, okay, we're back in business. It changed the fortune of Firestone tires. And there's many other examples throughout history like that. And Ted, as we look to wrap up this soupful, insightful conversation, what would you like our listeners to take away with them today?
I would like them to take away the fact that autonomous mobility is revolutionizing every industry as we know it today. Lidar is an essential enabling technology for autonomous mobility. We provide the eyes and increasingly the brains for intelligent vision. And Velodyne is the company that's best positioned to capitalize on this growth opportunity due to our technology leadership, our portfolio breadth, our full stack vision solutions, and our proven ability to ship LiDAR at scale.
The proven ability to ship LiDAR at scale, the path to profitability. Sir, with you at the helm, Velodyne Lidar has a very bright future because the future's bright, the future's autonomous, and the future is Velodyne Lidar. Ted, thank you so much for coming on the Road to Autonomy today.
Thank you for having me, Grayson.
Thank you for listening to the Road to Autonomy podcast. If you've enjoyed listening, please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Want to get in touch? Follow us on Twitter at Road to Autonomy or email podcast@brulteco.com. The Road to Autonomy is produced by Brulte & Company. The views and opinions expressed on the Road to Autonomy podcast do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Brulte & Company. The content discussed on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, tax, investment, or business advice.